and today's topic we are going to cover, that is coagulant and anticoagulants. The topic is related to blood and blood disorders. So before we start the topic, some few terms we should know about that: homeostasis, hemostasis, thrombus, embolism and clot. The hemostasis, that is related to the blood bleeding, and homeostasis, that is the normal physiological condition that maintain our blood regulation, normal physiological condition. And the thrombus, that is formation of thrombus in our blood whenever vessels injury happen. Clots, when that help to stop the injury and stop the bleeding from the vessels. So what are the coagulants? The coagulation process of changing the blood from a fluid state to solid state is known as a coagulation. So coagulation, why we need coagulation? Normally this is a natural process in the body. It prevents the blood loss by plugging the injury site. In normal conditions, whenever our blood vessels, endothelium and injury happens and internal bleeding, that is stopped by the normal coagulation pathway. The vascular system must integrate between the balance between the tendency to clot formation or form a solid state to need to unclot or reverse coagulation to keep the vessels open and the blood will flow without any problem. After injury to the body tissue, there is a natural mechanism we all know which help to stop the bleeding by the involvement of the complex hemostatic mechanism. This mechanism help us to formation of the clot. Blood vessels injury happen, blood vessels constrict and decrease the blood flow at the site of the injury. Second, loss of blood in the tissue, extravascular pressure when we will apply on the vessels, the compression of injured vessels that lead to decrease the blood loss. Our main target is decrease the blood loss at the site of the injury. So two system, that is very easy. The blood vessels constriction, it will happen in normal physiological condition, but what we will do, we will give extravascular pressure, compression at the injury site that lead to the blood loss. Third one, platelet adhesion, platelet plugging will happen and clot will form and blood loss will be less. But in some condition, when patient have less platelets in blood, that for example dengue fever, in dengue fever platelets are decreased, then lead to the loss of that lead to the disorder that if blood loss started in dengue, then it difficult to control that bleeding. Why? Because platelets are less and platelet plug formation will not happen in dengue condition. The blood vessels injury, that intrinsic pathway of the clot formation and extrinsic pathway we will study later, and that lead to the clot formation and less blood loss at the site of injury. So today our target is to understand the mechanism, to understand the coagulants and the drugs that work as an anticoagulant. These are the factors that physiologically that maintain our hemostatic condition. That is, first is fibrinogen, prothrombin, tissue thromboplastic factor. Fourth one is calcium, procalcitonin, acerrin, that is active part of the factor 5. Seventh is proconvertin, factor 8, antithrombophilic factor. Factor 9 is Crispek factor, factor 10 is Stewart power factor, and factor 11 that is plasma thromboplastin. Factor 12 that is Hegman factor, 13 is fibrin stabilizing factor, factor 14 is precalcarin, factor 15 is calcarin, and factor 16 is platelet factor. These are the factors that responsible for the maintain normal hemostatic condition in our blood. Coagulants are the drugs that promote the coagulation, we know. They are also called the hemostatic agent. These drugs are two types. First one is systemic coagulants and second is local coagulant. We will understand what the mean of statistics. Coagulant, the systemic is vitamin K, ethiamylate, desmopressin, fibrinogen, anti-hemophilic factor, tranexamic acid, and epsilon aminocarboxylic acid. And local anticoagulants, adrenaline, fibrin, gelatin, thrombin, oxidase, hemocoagulase, and tranexamic acid. Locally, we can apply locally at the site of the injury, and it will help to stop the bleeding. And systemic, we can inject parenterally. Systemic coagulant, first one is vitamin K. It's a coagulation vitamin. It's called as a coagulation vitamin. It is essential for the coagulation process. It is not directly involved in the clotting process, but it is required for the synthesis of 4 clotting factors, that is liver factor that is synthesized in the liver, that is factor 2, 7, factor 9 and factor 10. So 2, 7, 9 and 10 are vitamin K, that is vitamin K help in the synthesis of 2, 7, 9 and 10. That is this MCQ also MCQ also form in the MCQ form, that in examination in viva form the examiner can ask what are the factors that related to the vitamin K. The occasion it's occur naturally in 2 form, with vitamin K in the 3 form is available. First one is phyloquinone, second is menaquinone, and third K is synthetic form. First one that is plant source, second one which is synthesized in colonic bacteria in our colon by the colonic bacteria, and K3 is the synthetic form is available as a menadione, acetaminophen, and water soluble form is menadione sodium bisulfate and menadione sodium diphosphate. So vitamin K, that is again it's a form of MCQ, external can ask, and in MCQ form in some exams it can come that what are the forms of vitamin K, which one is plant source, K1 is the plant source, K2 is the synthesized by the colonic bacteria, and K3 is the synthetic form, that is fat soluble and water soluble both. Dietary sources, green leafy vegetables, and synthesize the liver, cheese, nuts, egg yolk, wheat germ oil is the richest source of vitamin K. The physiological function, vitamin K is essential for the formation of clotting factor 2, 7, 9, 10 and protein C and protein S. Deficiency. What will happen when the vitamin K is deficient in our body? Vitamin K is the only temporary concentrated in the liver, and this store can be exhausted within 1 week. So when deficiency will happen, liver disease, in condition like liver disease, obstructing jaundice, malabsorption syndrome, long-term antimicrobial therapy which alter the intestinal flora. We already know that vitamin K2 is synthesized in our colon by the bacteria E. coli. So when the patient will on antimicrobial therapy for the long time, the chances of vitamin K deficiency will increase. The most important manifestation is bleeding tendency due to lowering of the level of prothrombin and other clotting factor in the blood. First sign that is we will observe in the patient, that is hematuria, because GI bleed, it's very difficult to identify in the patient because it's the form of its occult form that blood loss happen. So microscopically only we can come to know when we will check stool occult, but patient will complain about the hematuria first thing when he will notice. Maybe patient catheterized, so in catheter we can observe very easily, but only patient will say first complaint, that is hematuria. It is usually first happen, and common site of bleeding are gastrointestinal tract, nose and under the skin where it present. Recommendation dietary allowance, that is 50 to 100 microgram per day. But as it in case of synthesized the colon, even 3 to 10 microgram may be sufficient. So recommendation dose is 50 to 100 for vitamin K. For prevention of the hemorrhagic disease for the newborn, because newborn baby, the liver is not that much capable to synthesize the clotting factors, that is 2, 7, 9, 10 that is associated with the vitamin K. So vitamin K 1 mg IM as soon as possible after the birth of the baby we will recommend, and prophylactically 5 to 10 microgram IM to the mother 4 to 12 hours before the delivery we can give to decrease the blood loss and to prevent the postpartum hemorrhage and to decrease the bleeding in normal after the normal delivery, and for baby, premature baby. The patient on prolonged antimicrobial therapy as an antidote in overdose of oral anticoagulant in patients suffer from the liver disease and obstructing jaundice. We already discussed all these. We have to prescribe the vitamin K. Ethinyl it increase in the capillary wall stability by the anti-hyaluronidase action. The hyaluronic acid, that is animal semen, and we all know that is help us to make the capillary wall. So whenever inflammation happen and prostaglandin I2 synthesis decrease, correct abnormality and platelet adhesion happen, it promote the platelet aggregation. It should used in the prevention and treatment for the capillary bleeding. The common indication for the ethinyl, that is menorrhagia, postpartum hemorrhage, after abortion, epistaxis, that is nasal bleeding, after the tooth extraction, and hematuria. But the side effects are nausea, rashes, headache and acute hypotension if we will give by fast IV injection. But in the case of inpatient, patient is already admitted in hospital, the IV fluid and that anti-inflammatory and anti-emetic drugs are already prescribed. So only few times it's happened that ethinyl cause nausea, and because patient already admitted and IV fluid and all our anti-emetic drugs are already prescribed. But if it's not, then side effect we can notice in the patient, that is nausea, headache and hypotension. The dose is 250 to 500 milligram TDS orally, and IV we can prescribe ethinyl. Desmopressin, it's an analog of vasopressin. It increases the plasma concentration of factor 8, von Willebrand factor, and directly activate the platelets. It's selective for vasopressin V2 agonist. This is a 12 times more potent than the AVP, that is arginine vasopressin. It's a 12 times more potent than. Vasopressin is a useful for the treatment for hemophilia A and von Willebrand disease. Next is fibrinogen. It's obtained from the human plasma. So, and in promising hemostatic agent, in case of hemophilia, hypofibrinogemia, anti-hemophilic globulin deficiency, and it is available as a IV infusion also. So, in case of more bleeding, if we want to stop, in some case, severe cases, we prescribe the patient to plasma therapy. So plasma therapy also help because plasma have fibrinogen. So plasma therapy in conditions when we want to stop that thrombolytic condition, when we want to stop the bleeding as soon as possible. So plasma therapy, it's a good for the control the bleeding. Here are the indication where we will prescribe the fibrinogen and ethinyl. Tonsillectomy, prostatic surgery, tooth extraction, patient with hemophilia, menorrhagia, menometrorrhagia, DUB, disseminated uterine bleeding, and recurrent epistaxis. They are the indication for fibrinogen, desmopressin, ethinyl, and vitamin K. Local anticoagulants. Local anticoagulants are known as a static or hemostatic. Means hemo means blood and statics means to stop. And static means tending to bind or contract. These substances are used locally to stop the bleeding from the oozing surface, such as abrasion. Sometimes nasal bleed happen, and some because of some cut mark during the shaving, or maybe because of knife injury happened. Then if we want to stop the oozing from the surface of abrasion or bleeding tooth, we will apply that local coagulants. Normal hemostasis involves 3 steps. First thing, vasoconstriction or contraction of the injured vessels will happen. Second is adhesion will aggregation and platelet will happen, and third, formation of the clot will happen. These are the 3 steps, that is homeostasis will happen. This is followed by the dissolution of clot by the process of fibrinolysis and maintain the normal circulation. The most preferred and effective method for stopping the external bleeding, that is manual pressure. Whenever bleeding will happen, if we are able, if bleeding is external and we are able to compress, we should compress as soon as possible by the cotton gauze, by the pressure pack, or by suturing. These are the external for the external bleeding. These are the methods we will apply. And what is the role of adrenaline in case of controlling the bleeding? Adrenaline we prescribe because it's adrenaline locally it's as a vasoconstriction. The cotton pad of adrenaline with the 0.1% adrenaline is used to control the capillary bleeding such as epistaxis and tooth extraction. After the tooth extraction, if oozing happen, adrenaline is available in the combination with lignocaine, that is important, to provide the better surgical field, but should not be avoided in the patient suffering from the hypertension. if hypertension patient, we should avoid the adrenaline and lignocaine combination. Adrenaline we already studied, and now these are the pads that we applied on the surface. And what are the estrogens? Estrogens such as the tannic acid, for example, we applied for the bleeding, for gum cut during the shaving. These are in for the local language we call it fitkari, and it helps in the stop the bleeding after the shaving and cuts on the skin. So today we finished coagulants. So next we will discuss anticoagulants in our next class. Thank you very much.